Welcome to this market and economic update. In this video, we'll discuss the ongoing military situation in Iran and what it means for markets, oil prices, and your portfolio. First and foremost, the safety of civilians in the region and our troops is the most important consideration. These are serious events with real human consequences. That said, investors naturally have questions about what this means for their financial plans. As President Eisenhower once said, plans are worthless, but planning is everything. If we apply this saying to today, what it means is that specific geopolitical events are unpredictable, but the fact that they occur is not. So rather than trying to plan around specific events, it's more important to have an investment and financial plan that works for you through all types of uncertainty. Over the next few minutes, we'll put these developments in context and discuss what long-term investors should keep in mind. First, while the scale of the current strikes is significant, it helps to understand that tensions between the US, Israel, and Iran have been building for some time. This latest development follows a lengthy US military buildup in the region, failed nuclear negotiations, and a series of escalating confrontations stretching back years. As this chart illustrates, there is a long history of conflict in the Middle East involving the US, from the Gulf War to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and more recently the conflicts involving Israel and Hamas. There have also been many attempts at nuclear treaties between the US and Iran. What history also makes clear is that geopolitical conflicts do not always cause a lasting market move. In fact, Middle East events have not always had a lasting impact, even on oil prices. This is an important reminder that dramatic portfolio changes in response to geopolitical headlines have rarely served long-term investors well. Next, for investors, the most direct way that Middle East conflicts affect financial markets is through oil prices. Iran sits along the Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately one-third of all seaborne oil exports pass. Even the threat of disruption to this critical waterway can move energy markets. Oil prices had already been rising ahead of the strikes and have moved higher since. However, some perspective is important here. Current oil prices remain well below the 2022 peak of nearly $128 per barrel when Russia invaded Ukraine. Today's environment is quite different. Immediately after the latest strikes, oil prices are in the $70 per barrel range. It's important to note that the U.S. became the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas back in 2018, with domestic production currently exceeding that of Saudi Arabia and Russia. This helps insulate the domestic economy from supply disruptions abroad. And as we saw when Russia invaded Ukraine, oil prices that many expected to stay elevated actually stabilized and declined far sooner than many projected. Finally, and perhaps most importantly for long-term investors, history shows the value of staying invested through periods of uncertainty. As this chart illustrates, markets have navigated even the most serious global events, from World War II to the Gulf War to more recent conflicts. In each case, markets experienced short-term volatility, but were ultimately driven by underlying economic fundamentals. It's also worth noting that Iran plays a minimal direct role in investment portfolios, given the heavy sanctions that have been in place for years. Markets may experience further volatility in the days and weeks ahead as this situation continues to evolve. But trying to time these moves has historically been counterproductive. The bottom line is that maintaining a diversified portfolio aligned with your long-term financial goals remains the best way to navigate this kind of uncertainty. We hope you found these insights helpful. If you would like to discuss these events in more detail, or understand how they impact your specific situation, please don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to speaking with you.